The Sports Renegades podcast on SportsTownChicago.com. Welcome back to the Sports Renegades here on SportsTownChicago.com. I'm Ryan Stuprich.
And I'm Ryan Risky.
We talked about the NBA. We talked about the Bulls a little bit, which is kind of hard to do, but we tried. And we talked about the finals and sort of the parity in the NBA. We're going to switch focus now to the MLBs. The Cubs are struggling a bit. As Ryan said before we went to break, they've definitely been streaking lately. They've been losing a lot in a row.
Lose 6, win 4, lose 3, win 2.
Yeah, that's sort of the way it's been going. They're a game under 500 right now. Are they 32 and 33? Is that right?
Yes. I feel like every time I think they've turned the corner, then they just go right back to where they were.
Right. That's the feel of it, especially on social media, like on Twitter. Like as soon as we win a game, it's like you can kind of like feel it starting to turn around.
They win the games in like a good fashion.
14-1 to 3 against the Mets, and you're like, wow, that looks like the season's turning around, and then you lose a heartbreaker last night.
Well, and then you go up 4-1 late last night. And it's hurt. I thought they were doing pretty good. Then they go and lose 6 in a row to the Padres and Dodgers.
Right.
Then they come home, sweep the Dodgers, win the first 2 against the Marlins, and they've won 5 in a row. It's like, all right, this is going to be it. And then they go and lose 4 straight. Right, the final game against the Marlins, and then the first 3 to the Rockies, and then you go and win on Sunday. And then you come into this week, Jacob deGrom throws a complete game, allows 1 run. And then you move Rizzo to the leadoff spot. They win 14-3. Then they go up 4-1. 4-1 pretty late in the game.
Yeah, 2 leadoff home runs in consecutive days for Anthony Rizzo.
Hey, as he said, he's statistically the greatest leadoff hitter in MLB history.
I mean, it was pretty exciting when him and Happ go back to back. You're thinking, wow, this game's over.
Oh, and then Schwarber hits one like a 3,000 miles.
I know. I could not find out where that landed. I was like, where did that land?
Yeah, you can't see on the camera where
I guess
it
went over the Mets bridge or something. There's like a bridge back there or something with like a connecting wall, and it went over that. Mm-hmm. I think it was like estimated 469 feet or something.
67, and that seemed pretty short for that. And Wayne Randazzo said he had never seen a home run hit that far at that stadium.
Yeah, that's crazy. So, I mean, it seems like the hitting, at least, is starting to turn around. The average is starting to go up a little bit, especially Rizzo's. So, I think that's a plus. But, again, it's that starting pitching. The bullpen, which had been pretty solid, kind of slipped a little bit, especially yesterday. But, it's just interesting. They desperately need to get Kyle Hendricks back, that's for sure. But they also need to get, probably a starting pitcher before the trade deadline or at the trade deadline. July 31st, because they need a solid somebody in there, and they thought at the beginning of the year that would be Brett Anderson. That did not turn out well at all.
All they needed was like just a decent start from the 5 spot, because he felt pretty good about their top 4.
Right.
Going in, and then Lackey now is on pace to give up 50 home runs. Jake Arrieta looks like a shell of his former self, although now they're saying he has a cut on his thumb. And they're like, yeah, he's dealing with that, and it's not a big deal. It's not like he sliced his thumb open. I'm like, that's a pretty big deal if you can't grip the ball right. Why doesn't he go? And like, oh, it's not healing right. Well, why doesn't he go on the DL and let it heal? Don't keep pitching.
Well, that's, yeah.
And now they're doing the same thing with Zobrist. So, yeah, by the way, he injured his wrist back in mid-May, and it just hasn't healed the way we thought. Well, put him on the DL. Don't let him keep playing.
Well, that's somebody that they could put on the DL, because you got tons of people that can
come
in and substitute just fine.
And that's a point right there with regards to the pitching. They don't have anyone that could come and fill in.
Right.
And because Montgomery's in the rotation, Eddie Butler is up, Hendricks is on the DL, and I mean they might not have anybody that they can just plug in.
No, I don't really think they do. I mean, I don't really know. Obviously
not until Hendricks or Brett Anderson come back. I don't think you can afford to put Arrieta on the DL if he can still go and give you 4 innings.
And obviously the other pitchers in AAA Iowa probably aren't that good, as it seems. Not not at least ready to come up to the majors.
If they were ready, they would be up.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. So, they definitely need to get a starting pitcher, somebody that can make up for what Lackey has been missing this year, because Lackey hasn't been good this year.
See, and the thing is, when you're trading, you don't want to just trade. They can't afford to trade prospects for rentals.
Right.
And I only say that because you don't want to just trade some prospects away and then head into the winter where Arrieta and Lackey are free agents. Brett Anderson is gone. That's 3 right there. Three openings. And John Lester will be entering year 4 of his 6-year deal.
Right, and then it could be one of the last good years from John Lester.
So, right, this might be the last year because typically the first half of those big contracts usually are the good years, and then after that the guys aren't very good. And there's times this year where Lester has looked like he might be losing it a little, losing his command, his velocity looks a little down.
Right.
So, I mean, and that's something you have to factor in, where if you're going to want to trade these prospects, you're just going to have to go get some guys that you'll have beyond this season, because you don't want to go and trade for 34-year-old Marco Estrada because you're probably not going to keep him.
Right.
Where maybe if you went and traded for Yu Darvish, you'd probably try to re-sign him.
Yeah, and of course, a guy like Yu Darvish, he's injury prone too, which could be a little bit of a concern. But obviously he would be a good get. So I mean, there's a lot of things. There's a lot of moving parts here that are going to play out.
I feel like you're going to have to sign probably what's going to end up happening. This is a long ways away. Anything could change. Arrieta could find it again. His thumb could heal. Maybe John Lackey stops throwing batting practice to guys.
Leadoff home runs. First inning runs have been a killer for him.
They've been a killer for everyone.
But especially him. But yes.
You're going to have the fact you might need to trade. And the thing is, who are you going to trade? Because they don't want to trade Ian Happ, Eloy Jimenez, or Dylan Cease. And those are the 3 guys that are going to bring back something.
It seems like those 3 guys are pretty safe, hopefully.
See, I really wonder what would if the Yankees are still interested in Kyle Schwarber. And I know the Cub guys love Schwarber. A lot of fans
that would really
love him.
put the Yankees over the
top. What would
Jeez.
happen if the Cubs went and said Kyle Schwarber for Luis Severino or Michael Pineda? Pineda is due to be a free agent at the end of the year.
Right.
And you probably are going to have the finances to re-sign him. He'll only be 29. You could give him, 5-6-year deal and feel pretty good about the first 3-4 years.
Yeah, I mean, he's good, but is he worthy of giving up somebody like Kyle Schwarber? That's what they're going to have to decide.
I mean, Pineda he's a good number 2 pitcher. Maybe in a really good rotation, he's a really good number 3.
Yeah.
Or what about the White Sox? Kyle Schwarber for Jose Quintana.
That would be interesting.
Because the thing with Schwarber is he's limited to the American League teams, except there's a lot of American League teams that would love to have him.
The Sports Renegades podcast on SportsTownChicago.com.